Hi everyone, it's Stacy K from the Farmhouse in the Field. Welcome back. This is my Flosstube number 3 video. In this video, we are going to talk about 3 finishes I've done, 3 whips. We will talk about some haul, and a discovery that I made about Rit Dye. Maybe I'm the last one to discover this, but I thought I'd share it because it was news to me. And we will give away 3 of my vintage charts. Again, these are vintage charts. They're anywhere from probably 10 to 30 years old. Some of them may even be out of print. So they are what they are. So let's get talking. It has been a little more than a New York minute since we last talked. I think we're almost approaching a year. At that time, it was near March, and I had some vacation time I had to use up. Our fiscal year ends in April for the company I work for, and so it was a case of use it or you can only get so many hours transferred over. One of the things, I am not a native Rochesterian, so there's still a lot of things around here that I have never been to. So usually I'll go to a museum or a house or something to tour that I've never been to. In this case, I decided to go to a shop that I'd never been to. And lo and behold, the cross-stitch shop that I chose was one that, since I went there, it seems like everyone on Flosstube is talking about. And that is Hobby House in Pittsford, New York. Now, this is near where I used to work years and years ago. And it is a neat place. Anything that you've seen on Flosstube that's available, that's still in print, you probably can find it there. And one of the things that I did purchase, and I actually purchased this after I had been there because of the cost, but I'm not seeing anybody really mention, is this Act North School of Needlework. So this is very cool. It has a lot of different motifs. It was not cheap, $39.95. If you go there, where this is located is when you go up to the 2nd floor where they have all the schoolgirl books. There is a little corner hutch, and that is where this lives. But it's really a neat little book. It's got a whole bunch of motifs that if you wanted to add them to a sampler, or if you want to create your own sampler, it's got a lot of designs that you could lift from this in order to put into your sampler. So it is a very neat book, but I haven't seen anybody mention it, so I thought I'd bring it to your attention because it is fun. And I've actually already used some of the motifs in a sampler that I'm making. So I did that, and I have since bought quite a lot of haul. We won't go into all the haul that I've bought because that was not the intention of me doing this channel. It was to actually get rid of the haul that I already have, or the stash I already have. But you see stuff on Flosstube, you gotta go for it, because if you know, as I know, if you don't get it then, it's gone. So that is what I've done since we've been talking last. So let's go over some of the things I've actually finished. This one I had finished in 2020, but I could not find it at my last video. So, and I think this is Leisure Arts, but I'm not positive. It's Be Ye Thankful. And I started this when we went to Williamsburg on the last vacation before the plague. And I thought it was appropriate to do that in Williamsburg. But I thought it was very, very cute, and I'm very happy to have that. I don't really have a lot of Thanksgiving in my stash or in my finished needlework or even needlework to do. So I really like that, and I think it was appropriate. I started it in Williamsburg, and the next year the following year we went back to Williamsburg and I finished it then. One of the other things I did was Sub Rosa Designs. If you haven't heard of her, I absolutely love her designs. I actually just bought another one recently, a Christmas sampler. But this is my cat. And it's really, really cute. It's still available on Etsy. And I did not use any of the colors. I have been trying to use up colors in my stash here. But that is what that came out as. For some reason, this house was just telling me it had to be pink and brown, and so that's what I made it. So that is one of my finishes. And the last thing, because I have two very large whips that I've been doing, I needed something I could finish really quickly, just to get a sense of accomplishment, because it's been a while. And I didn't realize how small this was. This still makes me laugh. This is from Witchy Stitcher. And it's Death saying, killing it. Which it cracks me up every time I see it. I bought this pattern probably, I don't know, 4 years ago. And for some reason, I just didn't stitch it. And finally I said, you know what, I need something small. So there it is. So that is what I have finished. Now, since we last talked, I also had a birthday. And my husband and my son bought me this wonderful DMC cabinet, which I am so thankful for, because I just organized all my DMC basically by color, because I constantly find floss around my house all over the place. Up until this, I was putting them in Ziploc bags, which was miserable because you could never find the color. They would be all ratted up together. And so this has been a godsend, this DMC. I love it. And this was available on Etsy. Killing It's also still available on Etsy. I just saw that the other day. But this was on Etsy, and she had two of them, and they bought that for me for my birthday, which I love it. Current things I'm doing. This is a sampler, and this is huge. She's a big girl. This is Zilphia C. Moss. And unfortunately, I don't have the original paperwork. I only have the chart. It's from 1799. And she's 37 inches. I bought this material from Hobby House in Pittsford. They do this, they serge the edges. And this is where one of those motifs came into being. I didn't like the motif that was on it, so I replaced that one. I used, again, whatever I had in my stash in terms of floss. These are not the called for flosses. And I used, this one I have to fix, but I used a bunch of metallic threads. I found to use these metallic threads, this is on 16 count, that I really needed to only use about 3. I started using the whole thing, so you see some of them are a little gloppy. But using about 3 was about the right amount to use. I found it really hard because they shred and they fall apart when you're using them. So if you haven't used metallic threads, they're a little bit challenging. Just going to say that. Now this is Zilphia Moss is the name of the pattern. And Zilpha is the first name. But one of the things I'm going to do, and I was going to mention this, but I'll mention it now, for 2022, is I am going to do a sampler wall. Now, I got really into Ancestry, looking for one of my ancestors that no one really kind of talked about. And in doing that, I realized, how far back I could go with my grandmothers and all the amazing women in my family. And when I say amazing, I don't mean somebody that did something great like they first woman in Congress or anything like that. I mean the everyday, ordinary women that, their own lives, they wouldn't have considered themselves amazing, but doing what they did to get by and doing what they did at a time when, say, women didn't work, I'm going to introduce you to all of them. I'm going to do a sampler for each of my grandparents and my mother, and I could go back a few generations, but I think that's what my goal is for 2022 and maybe even 2023, is to do a sampler wall and replace all the names with my grandparents, my grandmothers. So this one was originally going to be my grandma Jessie Lee, but instead when I started doing it, it just came out and it said, no, this is my Grandma Mert. So this is going to be Grandma Mert. She went by Jenny Wren. Jenny wasn't her real name. She hated her real name. But I will introduce you to her when I get this done. So I think that'll be a little bit fun for us to go through. I hope you find it enjoyable and interesting. But that is going to be my Grandma Mert's sampler. Again, trying to get stuff done that, just because I needed something to feel accomplished. I am doing from Night Spirit Studio. Please don't summon spirits in the bathroom. I stitch Halloween all year round. I love Halloween. This one just cracked me up. I'm going to stitch it, put it in a little round case, and put it in my bathroom. If you're not aware of what that refers to the slumber party game of playing Bloody Mary, running into the bathroom, turning out the lights, saying Bloody Mary 3 times, and the spirit's supposed to jump out at you. And so many of us did that as kids. It was just goofy, something goofy to do. So I'm doing that one, and this is how far I've gotten on that one. And it is very, very cute. I think it's very, very cute. Okay, now my other huge whip, and we talked about this on my last Flosstube number 2, and that is Old Glory. I'm still working on it. I think when we did this last, I was only on the first flag and only had started it. Gotten a little bit further done. So I'm on this big honkin' flag at the bottom, and it is a big one. But that's where I am now. And I kind of go between that and the big Zephyr Moss sampler. One will strike me and I'll just do it non-stop until the other one calls to me. But that's the one I'm doing. I'm not a big patriotic person in terms of flags all over. I mean, I consider myself a patriotic person, but I'm not someone that feels like I have to prove it to anybody. But I love this because I love the historical references, the different flags. And it has a quote from Samuel Adams, and it has a quote from President Lincoln. So it's kind of cool. Now, future projects that I want to do. Oh, and one thing I did want to mention. If you do go to Hobby House in Pittsford, there's a couple other places you may want to visit. Now, right next to Hobby House is a place called Beads and Things. Now, I'm not much of a beader, but I do enjoy putting little charms on my cross stitch, and she had quite a few little charms that look like they would be fun to put on there. So I got a few Tree of Life, I got a few little flowers, just some fun little things that I thought would be fun to put on cross stitch pieces. Now, future projects. And, oh, I do want to go over, before I go here, one of the things that I discovered recently, and I think Colorado Cross Stitcher was the one that mentioned this briefly in her dyeing video, but as an Aida stitcher, primarily an Aida stitcher, a lot of times it's really hard for us to find the same color fabric that a chart calls for, or one that we like, that, you know, we'd like to do it a certain color and we've got it in our mind, we can't find that color because we stitch Aida and we don't necessarily stitch the linen that it calls for. So one day I was watching Flosstube, and I watched Stacy the 911 Stitcher, and I think she was at the attic for a retreat, and she passed by this chart at the attic, and I just absolutely love this. First thing that caught my eye was the color of the chart. This is absolutely gorgeous. But I stitch Aida. I'm stitching lately 16 Aida, and trying to find this color in an Aida is nigh impossible. I emailed 123. I emailed quite a few different places, and nobody had this. They would quote different things, a lot of grays, because I believe this is dolphin gray. But nothing looked like what this looked like. So I was kind of bummed because I really love this, and I love the chart. Obviously, I bought the chart. This will be one of my grandmother's charts. But I couldn't find the fabric. So I went on DMC, and lo and behold, what I didn't realize is they have formulas. So you can go on their site, and I'll put their link down here or in the description. They have formulas. So if you see a color that you like, you can go on there and see if they have a similar color. And I think this is a little bit greener, but I love this. This is Faded Glory, and I think that's a pretty doggone good match. So I was able to follow their formula. I did reduce it down because I'm only doing a piece of cross stitch. I'm not doing jeans or whatever, so I don't need as much dye. But I think that was pretty darn nuts. I did it, this is dyed twice. My first time I dyed it, it was a little lighter. But, I mean, it could be grayer, but I kind of dig this color. And this color was called Faded Glory, and I loved it. And so, you know, if you are looking for something that you have a certain color in your mind, or you're seeing a chart and it calls for it in a linen that they don't make an Aida for it, check out Rit Dye, because they have a formula chart done by designers, and you can probably find the color that you want and just follow their formulations. And dyeing is really easy if you've never done it. You just put it in something, a pail that you don't care about, put in the amount of dye they tell you, and put in hot water, and leave it out there and keep checking it. That's all it is. And then when you're done, you wash it out and you throw it in the dryer to make sure that it sticks. That's all it is. So, future projects, talking about that, Rit Dye. There was also another 2 projects that I bought, and one of them I just absolutely wanted to dye like a strawberry. Sometimes I think in color, and sometimes a color will come out and say this is what this piece has to be. And so I bought Plum Street's A Gentleman's Daughter and Plum Street's A Miss Bingley's Library. Miss Bingley's Library. I love Pride and Prejudice, just to weigh in, 1995 version. And I had to pick these up when I saw them. So that is Lizzie's A Gentleman's Daughter, what she says to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And this is Miss Bingley's quote about the library. She would be very unhappy without a library. This, Elizabeth keeps telling me that it needs to be on like a dark pink background. So this is what I dyed. This I think is called Faded Strawberry. And so that's what I'm planning on doing for the Lizzie piece. And then I'm going to use this other piece that was Faded Glory again. And I think that's going to be Miss Bingley's piece. Because I can see that in this piece. And I think it'll be really pretty. Other things I'm doing. This one I absolutely love, and I think I bought this at Hobby House. And this is Where Hearts Rest. Brenda Giveways, and it's the Nests. And I absolutely love that. I'm not sure what color I'm going to do in the background. I may do the off-white. I don't know yet, though. But I do like that. I keep looking back and saying, yeah, I need to do that. This is one I had for a long time. I bought this off eBay, and I think Rico is out of Canada, but I may not be correct on that. And I really wish they had tablecloths where you did have a full-size tablecloth that you could do the cross stitch on. These seem to be like little card tables, and I can't even find them in the States. I bought one from somebody, but it was pink, and I was really disappointed. But I absolutely love this, and I really, really want to do these little robins. I think what I'm going to do it on, I have a baby's blanket that I've had forever, and I just haven't done it. And I think I'm going to do the robins all around the edge of that. I think that'll be really cute. Other things, Helen D. mentioned on her recent video that they're doing, I think it's hashtag Berry Stitching SAL. You might want to go over to her video, just her last video, to clarify that. But going along with the sampler wall, I'm going to do Erica Michaels' Sampler Berry. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a little small rope, and I'm going to hang it from a hook near the samplers. But I absolutely love that. I thought that was really cute, and it would go really well with all the grandma samplers. The other thing I liked and was this one that's more Valentine's. It's called Sweet Berry. And I thought that would be really cute. I just like that one. That one I don't know what I'm going to do with yet, but I did like that. And the last thing I'm planning on doing is a bunch of dish towels. They're just embroidery. These are from Bare Roots. This one's Sweet as Pie. I think that'd be just fun to have. I like things that I can use in my house. I'm very practically minded when it comes to that kind of stuff. And the chicken one, which I don't know if this has a name, Rise and Shine. Rise and Shine, which I thought was very cute. And this Easter dish towel, which I thought was really, really cute. Now, I know our Runnings carries them. Probably Joanne carries them. And they come in packages. I forget who makes them right offhand. But they're the company that makes all the transfers, they have dish towels that you can also buy. And you can do these transfers on it. So that is what my plans are. The last thing we're going to do today is the giveaway. So for the giveaway, I'm going to give you a word for each of these charts. Please do not say giveaway or sweepstakes. We want people that actually are interested in stitching them to get these. Must